So the superintendent's report, take it from here.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and our community. We certainly appreciate one of my favorite times of the year, and I think what's so cool about this is Ms. McCaskill and Ms. Miller prepare that opportunity for them to walk the halls of their elementary schools. And you really get that K-12 feel of our graduates as they show that this is really a system goal when they get across that stage. We also want to thank Dr. Harris, his team. We had the adult ed graduation, and I want to thank those members that were able to attend that. And to hear those speeches, we heard a lot of great speeches. We heard some very, Kung Fu Panda was one of the first times I heard that quoted at a graduation, and but to hear stories about Waffle House and things of that nature was very cool to hear the students' perspective. But I think some powerful speeches came from adult ed. These are students that did not have the academic success initially. But each one of them talked about how the staff stayed with them, how the staff continued to work with them, never gave up on them, and allowed them to cross that stage. So very inspirational, and that's why we do this. It's when we talk about these three critical questions of vision and mission and outcome, it's because we love and we grow our students. And what we learn is that there are multiple pathways to success. There is no one line. There's multiple avenues to success and to growth. And that we continue to be focused on academic, social, and emotional growth and development. We're going to measure our success that every child feels loved in our schools through our performance goals of school climate and teacher admin quality, and that we're demonstrated academic growth in our schools through student achievement and our gifted and talented goals. And our goal is to stay focused on that growth and development. Throughout the year, I've reported to you the status on median student growth percentiles, graduation rate, and our college and career ready. And so as we await the final numbers to come in, we're excited about what those are going to be. Had some preliminary numbers come in, but we can't report the preliminaries, but they do look promising. One thing that also looks promising is our graduation rate. We have been reporting a machine that looks at the attendance, but when we went back to look at our school reports, our triage teams, we see an increase from where we were. And so we're very promising. We still have, based on our accountability system, summer graduation that allows us to add to this number. So we have not stopped working, and so we will continue through summer graduation to report this data. But at this time, I wanted to turn it over to Ms. Taylor. We have been reporting about the parent engagement app and the work that we're doing on our website. And so to give an update on that progress, I'll turn it over to Director of Communications, Ms. Amanda Taylor.
Thank you, Dr. Ross, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you again. I am happy to share with you tonight that we have entered into an intent to award with Finalsite for our communications platform. They are a well-respected national company that I'm very excited to have the opportunity to hopefully work with once this protest period is complete. I did want to share with you just a few visuals. This is a mock-up of what our new website could look like. We're going to start at zero and have it look exactly the way we want it. Our goal is to have it ready to roll out by the beginning of school in August. That's a tight timeline, but we are committed to working with Finalsite to get this going. And then also they are going to help us create the mobile app that we're very excited about. This one, what the goal would be is to have a framework in place by the time school starts, but we want to work with our parent advisory committee, or possibly our student advisory committee, to get feedback on the features that are important. So as school begins in the fall, we will work with those new groups to get this complete the way we would like to have it. So again, we are super excited. We appreciate all of you allowing us to go forward with this, and looking forward to it. I'm happy to answer any questions I can.
Do we have any questions? Ms. Huddle?
Will it be interfaced with PowerSchool, and if so, what will be interfaced? How will that work?
It will work exactly the way it does now. It is compatible with PowerSchool, and everything should work as smoothly as it does now.
I guess what I'm asking is, are they going to be totally separate, or this parent, I'm really asking about the parent engagement. Is there any integration between, what is the difference? Are there going to be two apps that parents use, and what'll be on PowerSchool versus what'll be on this?
I'm not sure that we could roll, I use PowerSchool to look at my children's grades. I'm not sure if that's something we could roll into an informational app. PowerSchool will use, the app would use PowerSchool data such as staff directories, that sort of thing to integrate. But I'm not 100%, but I feel like we're probably still going to need PowerSchool for grades and attendance and those sorts of things.
Well, I'm going to follow up with Ms. Huddle's question. So on and you may not know this yet, but this is a question I would think that most parents would ask, and it may relate to Ms. Huddle's question. The parent engagement portion of this app, is there a sign-in? So like, if you go to this, if you pull this up on the app, is it going to be customized to your students? And if you do sign in, if you can sign in like that, is there a way for this company to integrate PowerSchool? So like, when I click on the app and I open the parent engagement, it says,
I know we can customize it to your preferred school and your preferred activities. So if you're interested in drama at Dutch Fork High School, you can drill down to those things. I'll have to find out if we can get it down to the student level.
sorry.
I'm sorry. Yes, our initial rollout was to automate directory information to get that most at hand. One of the things we do worry about is privacy on a third party. And so PowerSchool to us is safer than PowerSchool to another third party to the parent. But we wanted to automate the course catalog, sports and events calendars. These are public data pieces that I can say, my child is interested. I have a middle schooler, a elementary school, and a high schooler at these three schools. I want these events on this calendar, all in one place, and I'm interested in magnets. And so all of our information you could tag to one location. We still, at this point, don't feel that we would be able to integrate a lot of student records here, but scores, arts programs, academic calendars, academic notifications, field trips, those things could be integrated in one easy place for us.
Ms. Barnhart?
I guess we first discussed this, I was just under the impression, and I might have heard it wrong, that this was going to be like an app that was going to have kind of everything, kind of to Ms. Hines' point, with the PowerSchool. And I understand with the third party and all that, but I know that a lot of parents, you have 2, 3 kids, you get an email for this, and no matter what they're involved in, and then the grades and all that too. So I was just curious as to.
We're certainly not saying that's off the table. When we pitched it in terms of evaluating the responses, that was an issue that became a sticking point. And that's why we said we want to roll this out with the parent advisory, just so that we are more aligned on that comfort part. I think my biggest fear is once we invite a third party, how engaged are they in that? So I think our first level is automating all public information. Then second level will be, like you said, a one-stop shop where I can go in and have that information there.
Mr. Scully?
Yeah, Dr. Ross, I think that's a good point that I hadn't thought of before about the data security. So I think that's a good consideration, and I would be certainly more willing to sacrifice convenience than to jeopardize data security under those circumstances.
Anyone else on this side? Ms. Huddle?
Just a point, I guess, is if the data security is important, which I certainly understand, is maybe look at it the opposite direction, is would Power School have the ability to launch this app so that the parents still could go one place without having to remember, just the more passwords and logins, the less people will use it?
I agree 1,000%. And I think to its preference, some prefer email. I prefer one place where everything is with alerts, with parent alerts and things of that nature. And we're not saying that's off the table. I think it's just our uploading of this, that will be more of our phase two. And our biggest goal is to get we hear, and it depends on the point of the year, but we hear a lot, especially around the magnet, that I didn't hear information about this, or I was unaware of the science fair coming up, or I did not know about that field trip event or the volunteerism. So we felt that that was the lowest hanging fruit. We go ahead and knock that out, get people used to it. Internally, we feel like sports scores are going to be the #1 use of this, where you have all of the scores within the district from fall, winter, spring activities. You can check one place and see, well, how did the band do last Saturday? All of that's uploaded in one space. So we felt like that would be the lowest hanging fruit. But eventually, I like to get to one place where I have my updates that are there, and it's just, we're still in that protest, well, the protest period probably ends midnight or no? So
ended tonight, yes,
then
sir.
we can engage in that next level.
So I don't know if I can ask this question if we're still in the protest question, but I'm going to. And it sounds like it, because it sounds like we've already started designing this, and we're going to speak to some of our advisory groups. But the agreement that we have, are they going to, is the company that we're working with, are they going to continually provide technical assistance to add on? Is there like a number of times that they will help upgrade or create the app or or the website, or do they teach district employees how to do that?
Yes to all of that.
Okay, sorry. You know I ask multi-point questions.
There is training. There is training for users.
Okay.
I believe we can get, don't hold me to it, I think it's one change per year. If we want to change the look of something or a feature of something, I believe it's one per year.
Okay, so are we going to wait to launch it until after the parent advisory, or are we going to do like a soft launch?
Two phases. The website launches for, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Like I said, we would like to get the website up and running by the start of school, and then the app would come a little later,
Okay.
once we get feedback on what's really important to the users.
Okay.
And in
Anybody
terms of efficiencies and savings, we are really collapsing a few services already. Can you explain how that works?
Sure. By going to a single vendor platform, it's going to be less per year. We do have an initial setup fee, but after that, we have our website host currently and our communication platform that sends out the phone calls and emails and those sorts of things when we have notifications. This company will do all of that. And so by having a single vendor, it is less expensive. So that's a plus.
Okay, Mr. Satterfield?
Yeah, I had one question, and I think that Dr. Ross spurred this question in me when he talked about sports scores. Are these going to be, will this thing be set up so that there are links to finding that information, or will there have to be somebody entering that information? Because schools with a field trip that comes up, or change in band camp dates or whatever, schools are constant. So do we have the folks to do that? I mean, how will that be entered into the app, or will the app have different links that you can go to get that information that's already provided and have already got, because I know a lot of schools have volunteers that enter a lot of that information.
Yes, sir. That's to be determined.
Oh, TBT, okay.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and so moving through, and I'll say one of the things, and this is not to answer your question. we want the accessibility profile of the app to be like what we do with we have supplements for Good News Ambassadors. So they have the ability to upload that information. We pay supplements for that and website hosts. Well, now the website host, you're not doing JavaScript anymore. So it gives you some flexibility to work to update this. So my goal was that whether it's a volunteer or a supplemented person, that they report their scores to one central place, and then that's when they're uploaded. So we feel like to be determined is that we want to lay that out with the vendor, get that training in, and it would really be helpful to me because I like to follow all the teams to see one space where all of our scores are. So, and it's talking about a dream coming true. I want to talk about community support service. There has been a relationship between poverty and academic achievement. You're looking at all of the elementary schools in the state of South Carolina on a regression by English and math. And what you see is through this regression data, with 71% certainty, if you tell me the poverty index of that school, I can tell you the performance on English. And if you look at the math, with 65% certainty, you can tell me the poverty of that school, and I can tell you its academic performance. However, there are schools that beat the regression. They are doing things that defy the statistical regression here, or the coefficient. And so what we're working on is, what are these schools doing? What are these districts doing that allow them to beat the curve? If you look at our district, and again, we're one district, but you can see that we have a unique outlay of our school system. We have some communities with the lowest poverty index in the state. And then we have other parts of our community with the highest poverty index in the state. And meeting all of those needs, we have to be able to pivot to meet the needs of those communities. And so our goal is to provide in those areas an opportunity to extend the time that these students have access to our great programs through what we call community support services. If you take the waking hours of a student and you look at the average school day in the state of South Carolina, which is 7.5 hours, and you multiply that times the 180 days that they're in school, they're out of school 81.5% of their time of waking hours. They're in school 18.5%. So we're putting a lot of interventions in that 18.5%. And for some of our students, what happens in the 81% time? Where are their resources? Where are their interventions? Where are their opportunities to go to camp, to get tutoring, to get all of those things that they could be priced out of? What happens to them in that 81% time? We know that just half of an increase in after-school programs can yield 70% decrease in juvenile arrests. This is from Fight Crimes and Invest in Kids. This is from the Council for a Strong America, that it reduces crime, boosts academic achievement, improve behavior, lead to healthier outcomes, and helps us save that money. But that juvenile crime curve is from 2 to 6. That's that unsupervised time after school. And so if we can keep our students engaged, those that would not have access to after-school activities engaged from 2 to 6, we can make a tremendous impact. And so members of the board and the community, it's an honor to share that we have engaged with a memorandum of agreement with Wishrock Housing Partners, who owns Harbison Gardens, and NHE Management Incorporated, that manages the Harbison Gardens area. We've had people in the community come to us about things that we can do to support students that would need additional assistance. And beginning July 1, again with the approval of the Community Support Services Coordinator position that is grant funded, and we want to thank, we have some various generous members of our community who have provided us with grants to implement this program. That on July 1, we'll start to serve those students in the Harbison Gardens with after-school and summer programming. Why is this important? I talk about a tale of two communities. I want to educate our community on just the types of housing structures we have within our community. There's Section 8 housing, which is regulated by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It provides vouchers, resident support services, and community standards of conduct. And if followed, we've seen great examples of how that can support our families. And then there's Section 42 housing. This is regulated by the IRS tax code. It provides low-income housing tax credits for investment, but it doesn't provide the resident support services. It doesn't provide the community standards of conduct. And so we have now looked at partner with Harbison Gardens, a Section 42, to provide resident support services and to be an intervention for the community standards of conduct. So we have two major goals. We're establishing partners with out-of-school providers of academic, athletic, and artistic and service enrichment programs like ICRC to provide programs that are safe and physically and emotionally, led with trusted adults, and provide student choice. And also, because of the work of the resident service coordinator or the community service coordinator with our student services program, our social workers, we can provide resident support services. So we're partnering with the community to meet the needs of our students who would not have access to these after-school programs. So we're very excited about this agreement. We thank all of those in our community that have worked diligently to ensure that our students have access to programs that will allow them to be successful. Our community support services coordinator, Mr. Julius Scott, says these are transformational opportunities that can make a difference in the lives of children. And he looks forward to presenting to us his 30 and 60-day plan that we've been reviewing about how he's going to put these and help our community, lead our community in providing these programs for our children. And so I'm excited about that and look forward to the continued success in school and community partnership. And so before we have one more section and we'll answer questions about the academic, about the superintendent's report. But again, I want to thank NHE and Wishrock, who manage and own the Harbison Gardens, for trusting in us with this partnership. So at this time, to talk about our academic summer programs, I have our Chief of Academics and Administration, Ms. Anna Miller, and our Director of Elementary Education, Tina McCaskill.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Ross. Madam Chair, board members, we're excited tonight to tell you a little bit about what's going on this summer with some of our academic programs. So we have lots of things going on tonight. We're just going to talk about and highlight 4 of those: our academic enrichment camps, our summer reading camp, our summer school or credit recovery, and our TRIDAC, some opportunities for students. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. McCaskill to start with the first part.
Good evening. Excited to talk about summer reading camp. Today was day 1, so we got to have those kids coming off the bus, getting out of cars, all of the fun stuff today. But it's always fun. It's really the most fun of the summer, to be quite honest. So one celebration to talk about, when we talk about the summer camp this year, we were able to combine the enrichment camps that all of our schools were using ESSER funds each summer and combine those funds into the summer reading camp so that we could enlarge that. We've got 100 students this year at Harbison West into the summer reading camp. So instead of 4 days in the summer, the students will get 5 weeks. And so instead of spending 4 days, which may not have as big of an impact, we've been able to take our second and third graders who are just needing a little more love in their reading to help them for 5 weeks during the summer. So we're really excited about that. But a data point that I did put here that we are also very excited about is we track data over time. We look at our third graders because summer reading camp is a Read to Succeed requirement. And so we look at our third graders who come back as not met 1 category, which is the lowest category for our SE Ready. And in 2021, which was right after the pandemic, we had 110 students on that list come back from the district. The next year, we had 72 students on the list, and this year we're very excited to say that we had 46 students on the list. So our schools are working hard to meet the needs of students. They're doing a lot of progress monitoring, really looking at individual students, a lot of what Dr. Ross talked about in our high schools, that need of really meeting the needs of individual students. Our schools are doing an amazing job at that, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that pay off. So we're excited and wanted to highlight that for you. Our Title I schools also offer some summer camps as well that tie in and help students as well. So we're excited about that. Our intermediate, middle, and high schools will be having their academic enrichment camps. They will have the 4-day camp. They will focus on some orientation strategies for our 9th graders, but it will be offered to all ages within those buildings, and it will focus on our math and ELA during that time. Transportation and meals are provided for that camp as well. So we're excited about that.
Thank you so much. And then on to high school. Of course, our high school summer credit recovery, that started today as well and goes through July. So each of our high schools host a summer credit recovery with the exception of Spring Hill High School, and those students are able to attend through Chapin High School. And then our middle level, also summer school started today. The entire district is housed at Irmo Middle School, so that is for our students grades 6 through 8, all attend summer school at Irmo Middle School. TRIDAC also started today, so all of our 4 main initiatives except one started today. TRIDAC is offered to local districts, and it's the District Arts Consortium. And so we have almost 100 students. I guess 93 total students participating in this. And so we do provide transportation. It's at Westwood High School, so we do provide that transportation. And the students do have to audition, and they're selected to participate in TRIDAC. And we have students in every area, so vocal, theater, dance, visual arts, orchestra, band, and creative writing. So we have lots going on. As Ms. McCaskill said, we have schools doing our Title I schools doing some other various camps. A lot of times our schools do things with the students and the families that we're not even aware of at the time. I know a lot of our schools open their libraries during the summer for families and students to come in and continue to check out books and things of that nature. So loving and growing our students never stops in the Department of Academics. And that's our presentation. We'll stand for any questions.
Ms. Huddle?
A question about the summer reading camp, the statistic on the not met one. Can you kind of say what is not met one? Does that mean they can't read at all, or they read on a first grade level? What's that really mean?
That, when you look at it, it equates to about a middle first grade reading level in that range of not met one.
So the numbers that you gave, were those just the children that are in camp, or those are the children in the entire district?
That's the entire district.
Oh, that's awesome. Great, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? All right, Dr. Ross.
That
Thank you very
concludes
much.
The superintendent's report.
All right. Ms. Huddle?
I had a question back on Dr. Ross on the slide with the graduation rates.
Yes.
I wish I could ski that well, like I could go. So I was just wondering if you could maybe, I think you said the issue was really attendance. And so is that new rate, is that what we project after credit recovery, or is that as of today? Kind of, can you set the stage for that number? And if it, I know you said it may change because of summer school, so summer school's not included.
Summer school is not included in this data. I'm
Okay.
looking over to our group, so we still have an opportunity. What you see in this valley here is that valley represents the computer reporting. The peaks here represent the reports from the triage team. And so we went back to our triage teams at graduation. Those are the groups that are working on their on the graduation reports to see where we were. And so we reported from each school that based on their cohort data, that we're about 88.3% on target. However, as you just saw with the summer, we still have an opportunity to get some of those students across the line for summer graduation. So last year, our graduation rate was 89%, and so we're still working on that as well. That along with CCR, that data is still coming in, and so everything from the WIN, any other SATs or ACT that's taken, and any data that we can get in terms of completers of courses over the summer will be included in that number as well.
I have a question regarding this chart. If I remember correctly, the reason there's the drop down to the 63.1 is because we changed the way we were collecting data at that point in time. Next year, should we anticipate when we start looking at this chart and getting updates that it's going to be lower all the way through the year until you get to the very end where everyone is kind of caught up?
I think more representative of the truth would be the triage teams, and we'll talk about this this summer because of what that is pulling, and we're talking a little about this earlier on today, is data that might not represent the reality. So is the notice in, has the recapture happened? So and we can have that information shared. I think we should just talk about the triage team. We wanted to see, and maybe it was the ChatGPT AI stuff I got caught up in, and I wanted some AI, but I think really going with the triage teams will be the most accurate representation of reality.
Are you saying the robots are going to give us the data? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's right.
All right, Mr. Satterfield.
Yeah, I had one other comment. I'd like to publicly thank Ms. Wright, Ms. Paula Wright, and what they did with the evening school. Ms. Snipes and I had the opportunity to attend the graduation, and I'd say that the parents there were just as excited as the graduation ceremony at the Coliseum. They might have been just as loud as the whole crowd, but those students did a great job, and that staff does a wonderful job building relationships with those students. So just wanted to publicly recognize Ms. Wright and her entire staff for what they did. Thank you.
All right, anything else with the superintendent's report? All right, seeing nothing, that